Good morning. I wanted to just share with all you funeral professionals out there the grassroots way to build a name in the funeral industry. If you're brand new, and those other guys across town are the first people that they call. I know building grassroots is tougher. It's awesome when you got a brand new owner, you're new to the business, or you got some uh, well-funded place that's ready to run ads on the radio, ads on the television, and make you the talk of the town by financially buying up all the commercials and all the airtime. But that's not the norm always. Sometimes you have to do some grassroots things. So one of the grassroots things that I would suggest to you is that there are no small services. You let those guys across town get all the quote unquote big services, and you just serve whatever you get to the best of your ability. Because guess what? Big services sometimes have a lot of show and a lot of fluff, but sometimes they don't have margin. You never know, those big name folks might have had a little storm through the person's illness and the money that everybody thinks they have. They don't. So serve that little bitty family of yours. Typically, most services, particularly in the African American way, will come with some form of preacher. And when the preacher meets you, they may have their favorite other director across town, but you just don't force yourself on them, but be so nice to them. Serve them over. You gotta. It's a situation of winning them. I hear directors say, "Oh, let no preacher run in my business." But how can you afford to have an enemy that stands up in front of groups of people every Sunday with a microphone in their hand? So what you do is you don't attack him head on, even though he doesn't see his favorite funeral director that he even recommended to the family, and they got little old you. You just serve to the best of your ability. And then there's a way or two that you can also play a little dirty pool. Is one day be loyal to your own church, but one day show up in one of his services. You were nice to him during the time of service. Show up to his church service. And if he sees, if they're one of the churches that still marches around, and you march around with an envelope in your hand, more, not that that's your purpose to do anything, but how about this? I've been in services where pastors stopped services and they looked at me. And when they recognize you in the light of day, I sat the back, didn't try to get any undue attention. But when they call your name out in front of their entire congregation on the Sunday morning, you think all of them forget it, but they don't. I've actually gotten business from churches, from the pastor calling my name just for visiting. I mean, it's a good thing to visit. I'm a preacher myself. So I'm just saying, every now and then you need to go and see how other people do. Preachers need to be fed too. So that's an incredible thing. Then you get your target list. First of all, find the best directors in your city. And it'll probably cost you 4 or 5 lunches in a month. Say, I just want to go to lunch with you. I'm not trying to find out. I'm not trying to find out how your operation runs. I just want to know. I'm new to the business and I want to learn from somebody that's good. Because most funeral directors got a little bit of ego. And those experiences can teach you so much, because you start to not only think with your mind. When they pour into you, you're able to think with their mind. So yeah, it'll cost you the expense of some lunches. Then you have centers of influence throughout the city. Just tell them you're a brand new funeral director and you want to take them to lunch. You might ask 20 and 2 might accept. But those 2 will remember you on some days that can bless your life. The funeral game is a slow build. It's not done overnight. There are guys that come in blowing and going overnight. And when they blow and go overnight, they're usually don't do the very best job in serving the families. If you got two families you never serve, I call them a month later, see how they're doing, call them 2 months later. Uh, Follow up is mandatory, not because your funeral home requires it. You should want to see how they do. You're building a family. That's a slow build. You're building relationships. That's a slow build. But if you keep doing it over and over, you will build massive momentum. I know you're talking to the guys across town where they just sold a $50,000, $60,000 service, and here you are, you fighting over this, and you're fighting at the back of the arrangement room, and you know those guys are bragging. I learned something from Bishop Noel Jones, a great preacher in the late 90s, early 2000s. He told me, he said, Smith, he said, I take up the cheapest, lowest offerings on the service. I see all these folks with these impressive $1,000 offerings, and everybody comes and everybody wows over them. He said, but what I learned is most people that can't get near that, they won't give anything. They'll say, well, those are up. He said, because I learned over time in many years of preaching, Bishop Noel Jones, and he said, I learned that there are more people that shop at Penny's than there are at Neiman. Well, Penny's is out of business, but you get the point. There are so many Waltons on the Forbes list that they got to notch about 7 down on the 500 richest list. And there's like 19 different Waltons worth 40 to $50 billion a piece. So you don't have to be the top tier paid person. You can let them sell the important in the funeral home that says the important folk. But there are more people that they see as middle of the grain that don't other folks say not important. But how do you know? I've been on more than one service where it was drama from the arrangement room all the way to the actual day of service. And then all of a sudden, I said, Dr. So-and-so, Right Reverend So-and-so, big businessman so-and-so, what are you doing here? Well, the deceased is my aunt. I said, so Junebug, your cousin? They usually take a breath and they say, that's my aunt's son. So you never know who's kin to who. Even at those services you deem small can be somebody of influence. And more than one occasion they came by, man, I appreciate how you took care of my family. I know there were issues because they, right in the middle of it, might have to pay for it. He said, but I appreciate how you treated them on a certain level. So look, just because you're new doesn't mean let them folks get all the old money people. Because guess what? New money is being created every day. The impressions. You can't be an undercover funeral professional. That means that sometimes you'll have to, I ain't saying you got to be all out at everybody's party and club, but you do need to be seen in the community. Build one brick at a time, one family at a time, one service at a time. Keep your card with them. Be proud of what you do. Own what you do. Don't be saying, well, I'm a funeral director right now, and in a couple of years I might try to. No. Be sold on what you're doing. Just because you're at the bottom now doesn't mean you'll stay at the bottom. That's my suggestion. Serve every family to serve again. And that's how you become a bigger funeral director and building a funeral or death care business from the ground up. You ain't gotta be on television, you ain't gotta be on radio. There are literal things that you can do and make people feel special. Make it your aim to become a member of that family for 1 week. Let them know when they doing Christmas invitations that they might also send one to you because you became a member of their family. Treat them like family, and your business will grow. Be blessed.